Alexander had been living on Station Kepler 442 for exactly 3 months when his Veltharian neighbor finally spoke to him beyond the usual pleasantries. Her name was Zyxera, though she'd told him to call her Zixa for simplicity. She was tall, nearly 7 feet, with iridescent skin that shifted between blue and violet depending on the station's lighting. Her species was known throughout the galaxy for their diplomatic prowess and long lifespans. They stood in the communal garden, one of the few places on the station where different species mingled freely. Alexander was tending to the tomato plants he'd brought from Earth, a small luxury that reminded him of home. Zixa approached with her characteristic grace, her 3-fingered hands clasped behind her back. "Alexander," she said, her voice carrying that musical quality all Veltharians possessed. "I must confess something that has been weighing on my conscience." He looked up from his plants, wiping soil from his hands. "Sure, what's up?" "I haven't had a male partner in 2 years," she said matter-of-factly, her large amber eyes meeting his. "The isolation is becoming difficult." Alexander blinked, caught off guard by the sudden intimacy of the confession. His mind immediately went where any humans might, and he felt heat rising to his cheeks. "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Long-distance relationships are tough, especially out here in deep space." Zixa tilted her head in that curious way she had, studying him. "You misunderstand. I haven't had a male partner for my research project. The behavioral study I've been conducting requires paired observations, and my colleague returned to Velthara 2 solar cycles ago." The realization hit Alexander like a cold shower, followed immediately by embarrassment at his assumption. But then something else clicked, something he'd been noticing about various interactions on the station over the past months. "Zixa," he said slowly, "when you say partner, you mean a colleague? A research partner?" "Of course," she replied, confusion evident in her tone. "What else would I mean?" Alexander sat down on the garden bench, a laugh escaping despite himself. On Earth, when someone says they haven't had a male partner in years, it usually means something romantic or sexual. Zix's skin rippled with colors he'd learned indicated surprise and fascination. "How peculiar." "No, I mean a collaborative partnership. The concept you describe, we have different terminology for such arrangements. They are called bondings or mating pairs." "Right?" Alexander said, running a hand through his hair. This wasn't the first miscommunication he'd encountered on the station, but it was certainly one of the more awkward ones. "Sorry for the confusion. It's just, humans tend to use partner for both professional and romantic relationships. Context usually makes it clear, but without that context, fascinating," Zixa said, her scientific curiosity clearly piqued. She sat beside him, her movements fluid. "This linguistic ambiguity, does it cause frequent misunderstandings among your species?" "More than you'd think," Alexander admitted. "English especially is full of words that mean multiple things. We rely heavily on social cues and context. And yet your species has achieved faster-than-light travel, created remarkable art, and solved problems that stumped civilizations twice your age." Zix's tone carried genuine admiration. The human capacity to function despite such inherent communication chaos is impressive. Alexander had heard this before, the surprise that always seemed to color other species' voices when they discussed humanity. Humans were young on the galactic stage, barely 3 generations into space travel. Most species had millennia of spacefaring history before joining the Galactic Council. Yet humans had adapted with startling speed, bringing innovations and perspectives that older civilizations found both baffling and brilliant. "I suppose we're used to it," Alexander said. "We've been misunderstanding each other for our entire history. Maybe that's why we developed so many ways to communicate: art, music, mathematics, body language. When words fail, we find other methods. Like your tomatoes," Zixa observed, gesturing to his plants. "Exactly. These are a way of staying connected to Earth, to my family's farm. My grandmother taught me to grow them. It's a conversation across light years." Zixa was silent for a moment, her colors shifting to a deep, thoughtful purple. "I believe I understand now why the Council values human presence on stations like this. Your species brings something we others have lost, or perhaps never had. You embrace confusion and contradiction, and somehow make it work." "We don't really have a choice," Alexander said with a shrug. We learned early that the universe doesn't make sense on human terms. So we adapted. No, Zixa corrected gently. You had a choice. You could have retreated, isolated yourselves, refused to engage with the chaos. Many species did exactly that when they first encountered the wider galaxy. But humans? You dove in head first, making mistakes, causing problems, but also solving them in ways no one else considered. She stood, smoothing her robes. Would you be interested in being my research partner, Alexander? The project involves studying cross-species cooperation in resource management. Your human perspective would be invaluable. Alexander grinned. Professional partner? Sure, I'd be happy to help. Excellent, Zixa said, her skin brightening to a pleased silver. Though I must warn you, the study will require significant time commitment. Perhaps 2 years. 2 years working with you sounds great, Alexander said. Just, maybe we should establish a common vocabulary first? Save us both some awkward moments. Zix's laugh was like wind chimes. Agreed. Though I suspect the awkward moments are where humans do their best learning. As she walked away, Alexander returned to his tomatoes, shaking his head with a smile. 3 months on an alien station, and he was still discovering new ways that humanity's chaotic approach to life made them unique in the galaxy. It wasn't grace or longevity or diplomatic prowess that made humans special. It was their stubborn insistence on pushing forward despite confusion, miscommunication, and uncertainty. And somehow, impossibly, it worked. He picked a ripe tomato, feeling its familiar weight in his palm. Tomorrow, he'd bring some to Zixa. Another small bridge built across the gap between species, one confused conversation at a time. That was the human way, messy, awkward, but ultimately, undeniably effective.